Nice to see you. Hi. Yes, either is fine, wherever you wish. And I can see Nadia on the screen. Can you hear us? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you very much for joining us. So just brief introductions, and then we will begin. So on the screen, joining us, presumably from Madrid, I don't actually know, but I'm assuming from Madrid, is Nadia Calviño, Vice President and Minister for the Economy and Digitalisation in Spain. To my immediate left, so on your right, and Anna Diamantopoulou, Chair of the high-level group on the future of social protection in the EU and of the welfare state in EU members, former European Commissioner, known to everyone here, I'm sure. And to my far left, Anna Mendes Godinho, Minister of Labour, Solidarity and Social Security of Portugal. So we're going to have each of the panelists give a short set of opening remarks, and then we will have a discussion. So, Nadia, Minister from Spain, if I could ask you to begin with your remarks, the floor is yours.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Andrew, and thanks very much to The Economist for the organization of this very interesting dinner event. I was following it from Madrid, indeed. I am very sorry I was not able to go to Greece. It was absolutely impossible, but I hope I will be able to say hello to Anna and other Greek friends soon in person. Now, just to kickstart the debate, I was reflecting on three key ideas, which have also been mentioned in the previous discussion with the ambassador, about the European response to the crisis, and three key ideas that could guide us in this important year, 2022, where we will have to hold important debates, future-oriented, and also make decisions which will shape the future of the Eurozone and the future of the EU for the decades to come. And the first point I'd like to share is the experience we've had to realize once more that we're all on the same boat and that we are much stronger together. I think that the united response, speaking with one voice at the EU level on the health front, particularly when developing and buying the vaccines and then distributing it to the different member states, but also on the economic and social fronts, I think this has been absolutely instrumental to explain why we're having now a strong recovery. The Spanish economy is a good example of a positive outlook for 2022-2023, an outstanding performance of the labor market, a very different exit to previous crises, and in particular the previous financial crisis. And I think that the fact that we have acted in a manner that has been putting persons and citizens at the forefront, and that we acted in a coordinated, in a united manner, has been key. My second point is to start 2022 trying to design tools and make decisions which are future-proof. I am quite sure that this will not be the last crisis that we will have to face, but it would be important to try to make decisions that ensure that this recovery, the strong recovery, is not just a bouncing back, but a sustained recovery in the mid-run and a modernization process. And the deployment of the national recovery plans, these important investment and reform programs, is going to be essential if we want to ensure that we leave for the future generations a healthier, cleaner, more efficient, with better jobs, Europe, and with more opportunities. And I think I have to tell you, this is something I'm quite obsessed about, particularly this week when we see the extreme right-wing parties' populist speeches spreading, throughout Europe and trying to provide wrong and easy answers to complex situations. So we have to really be future-oriented in our policies. And my third and final point is precisely about the window of opportunity we have in 2022 to deploy the national recovery plans and to undertake important debates, for example, on the banking union, on the review of our fiscal rules, which are going to be very important to shape the coming decades in the Eurozone. And we should undertake these tasks with a future-oriented approach, leaving behind all debates, the trenches of the past. I think that it is with this constructive attitude that we will be able to tackle these challenges and any other challenges that we may have to face. And this week is bringing up fresh news and maybe uncertainties on the geopolitical front, which again show that if Europe wants to have a strong voice, we need to act in a coordinated manner, and we need to reinforce also our strategic autonomy. So we should profit from this window of opportunity, seize it, and make the right decisions today, so that when we meet again in a gala dinner in some years from now, I hope we will be able to look back and be proud of making the right decisions at the right time in the right manner. Let me close here, and thank you very much again for the opportunity to open the debate.
Thank you very much. That's excellent. What we'll do is we'll have all of the opening remarks and then go into questions. So, Anna, I think you are the next on the agenda. So,
hello, Andrew. Hello to all of you. Hello, Nadia. Hello, my neighbor from Spain. We are always trying to learn from each other. Hello, Anna. Thanks to The Economist. Thank you for the invitation. And just as we've learned from Nadia, I think we all learned many lessons during the pandemic in a very intense and stressing way, under pressure. And what I think right now we live and we face is a special momentum. I would say that we live the opportunity of our lifetimes, and we cannot lose this momentum. What does this mean? This means that we should not be looking at how we can recover from the 2019 GDP, but we must take this momentum to see how we can use the resources we are all mobilizing in a unique way to guarantee that we do change the economy in what needs to be changed. I think the pandemic showed us all that there are many things that need to be changed, many things that have to be accelerated in several dimensions, and it gave us all a special social legitimacy and a social pressure to act and to transform what needs to be transformed. I think we all should aim at look and create a dynamic to foster a new decade of strong economic growth in Europe with ambition. What does this mean, ambition? This means that we must desire and guarantee that Europe has, in fact, the role as a world leader in industry, and this means investment, in digital, in healthcare and biotech. We need to embrace the change. We cannot resist to the moment we live, and we cannot resist to this opportunity. And we must put innovation, and I think this is one of our biggest challenges. We must put innovation in the center of our all public policies and national and European level. What does this mean? It means innovation and change in educational systems, in health systems, in investment rules, in security, in social policies, in social security systems and models that showed during the pandemic that were not prepared to guarantee that they had an answer to everyone, because many people were completely outside of the system, namely young people who have new types of work, new models of work, and they are not in the square that we all imagine as the traditional role. This is a huge moment and a challenge that we live, and where digitalization can have a determinant role. We can all imagine how it can give tailor-made, personalized solutions to everyone, how big data and AI can allow us to guarantee that our policies are evaluated and that they are better planned, or that creativity or entrepreneurship should be a big part of our educational systems. And for this, we have to change. We have to embrace this change with all our efforts and energy. And of course, about sustainability, here again, Europe must lead in new solutions. Not only solutions for Europe, but also solutions to guarantee that we have a more competitive Europe and a more competitive developing world. because we also have, and we need to invest in technologies that allow the developing countries to grow following a different path. Well, what we need? We need to guarantee that we maintain resilience, but for this we need stronger and more flexible and efficient institutions. We need more social and economic real cohesion. We need not just the typical traditional cohesion, but we need inclusive growth. We all face, I think, in Europe, a terrible problem in terms of demographic scarce. We don't have people, we have a demographic problem. So we have, again, to guarantee that everyone is part of this growth. This means that we cannot jeopardize, or we cannot have, for example, 20% of our children that are poor, that are outside of the system, and they will not be part of the talent of this development and this growth that needs everyone. Also, we need free movement in Europe for workers, for migrants, to guarantee that we take the advantage of having talent and workforces. Well, for this, we need to mobilize people. And as Nadia was saying, we need to sell this idea in a democratic society that is so divided and often radicalized. Extremists sell you very easily their ideas with black and white, with a very clear picture, because they have clear and loud messages, they have good and fixing ways of giving blame and responsibility to other people, and with the fake news they spread and get all over. But there's an alternative to black and to white. And I think the moderate have a space for this. And the moderate can be other colors beside gray, because traditionally we've been all gray. This is a time to give color to what we are doing together. There is this alternative, and the alternative is green when you invest in sustainability and in efficiency in energy. It is yellow, purple, it is orange when you act with creativity, and not just in policies to foster innovation and to guarantee that we try new solutions in education, in healthcare, in mobility, in skills. Well, but also we can also be red when we assume passion in fighting for a more fair society that does not leave really anyone behind. And these are of course the colors of the rainbow, the colors of diversity, of answering minorities, because minorities fulfill the whole society. Well, being moderate does not mean being boring. And I think this is our space, that's what we have to show and to put in place. Being moderate means that we can embrace change with no fear, we can shape change with no fear, acting fast and in a way that it serves society better, that creates a better society, a society that is more fair. And this is what we learned from the pandemic. This is what people want: more innovation, more change, more diverse, more inclusion. And you can be passionate about this change. You just have to mobilize people for this change to guarantee that we don't have radicalized movements and to guarantee social peace. We need a compromise for hope, and people want that for us. That's why I agree, and I think that people need leaders that are engaged, that they believe in, and they vote for them. That's what I feel people chose in Portugal, because they felt that there is a movement who is engaged in day-to-day answers to day-to-day people's lives, guaranteeing that we have in our mindset inclusive growth as our theme. Well, the pandemic was a game changer. Let us not lose the momentum to change what needs to need changed, but acting very fast, because time is running out. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you very much. And last but not least, Anna Diamantopoulou.
Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to thank for this invitation, and I'm really happy that I'm in the same panel with Nadia and Anna. And I'm going to say something only for the Greeks, the others will not understand it. Anna in Portuguese is written with one N, so we have Anna with one N. The topic of our panel is a very broad one. So it is Europe in the pandemic era, recovery, resilience, and cohesion. So what I will do is that I'm going to focus in each of the words of the title of the panel, trying to see the most important issues in these sectors. So first, Europe in the post-pandemic era. What are the most interesting things? Public finances were driven again to a state of crisis. We very well know that deficit and debt ratios increased and are expected to remain high over the next 10 years. This is a problem for many countries. This is a problem for Greece as well. Investment necessities have increased, and have increased in order to reach the goals in digital and climate change transitions. Only at an annual basis, there is a need of 650 billion euros per year in order to reach these goals. COVID has made the pre-COVID vulnerabilities more intense. And in the end, COVID has been an accelerator concerning the impact on the impact that megatrends have in society and economy. Hence, there is a need of a quick and very deep reform in structures. So, economic reform and investment problems. Let's now focus in the three sectors: recovery, resilience, and cohesion. When we are talking now about recovery after the COVID era, we could focus on tools and on goals. What are the tools? At the European level, the 2 trillion euros multi-annual financial framework, the new generation EU program, and of course the RRF, will support the recovery and will build back better. But of course, in order to have a real impact, the impact we really expect, there is a need of conditionality. Maybe we can talk about that in our discussion. And of course, one of the most important issues at the European level is to reorganize the supply chain model, which is one of our biggest problems we understood during the COVID. This concerns the tools. As far as the goals is concerned, I think that the overarching goal is the European sovereignty. How Europe will build its European sovereignty. Firms should stay in Europe. Jobs should stay in Europe. Value should remain at home. And I think it is one of the most important issues for our recovery. Resilience. There are two types of resilience: domestic resilience and resilience to external forces. Governments have to build new mechanisms, have to proceed with proactive policies so that economies and societies will contain the future crisis and the expected shocks. That means that at the European level, all governments, because of COVID, have understood very well that we must be proactive, and new maybe pandemics or other kind of crises are coming. I would like here to emphasize the need of investment in the health system and educational systems, because these are the two pillars of social policies which are completely important for the next day of any crisis. Now, resilience to external pressures. What do I mean by that is that is the resilience to geopolitical rivalries and to economic coercion. Europe's primary goal should be to uphold a rules-based international order, a level playing field, which is under assault by China and other actors. The rules-based economy, trade, which was built for years and years, and it was so important for the concept of free trade, now it is in danger of getting fragmented. If Europe wants to avoid it, it should build its own strategic economic cohesion, as I have already said, but at the same time, it should maximize its role in the international organizations and in intergovernmental groups as G20 and G7. And finally, about cohesion. The existing welfare systems in Europe have been built and developed according to the standards of the Second World War post-model. And because of digital transformation and because of the mega trends we have in this 21st century, there is a need of deep reforms. Otherwise, there will be a huge problem in welfare provisions. We know very well that the new models of labor were going to bring less contributions and less labor tax. So the revenues will reduce and the welfare system will be in danger. Social protections needs to be in the center of new kind of reforms, novel and innovative reforms. And this is the mission of the group that this high-level group that I am chairing. Our mission is to define the new social risks because of this new era, and of course to recommend and to propose new approaches concerning the design of the social protection system and the financing and new models of financing of the social protection system. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I hope that Nadia can continue to hear us and is somewhere out there watching. There we are. Okay, wonderful. Okay, so we're going to, Nadia, if I can come to you first, and thank you to all of the panelists for your comments. You made a reference to the need for changes to fiscal rules and to institutions, and I took that to be a reference to some of the Stability and Growth Pact constraints that exist in Europe. That's not an immediate problem, it's a 2023 problem, but what exactly would you like to see happen to that fiscal framework that enables you to take advantage of the opportunities that you described?
Yes, indeed. I was referring to the debate on the Stability and Growth Pact, and I do hope that as of the ECOFIN now in March, we will start to discuss the different options, and I do hope that we will approach this issue with a realistic, pragmatic, and future-oriented approach. This is what I was referring to when I said we shouldn't go back to debates of the past. We have a very different starting point from before the pandemic, because all countries have had to increase their deficits and debt to GDP ratios. I think Anna was referring to these. And I think we have all become also starkly aware of the need to undertake a very ambitious investment program. Also, the other Anna with one N said one thing, Anna with two N said the other thing. I think with the three of us, we agree very clearly on the need to undertake a very ambitious investment program. If we want to reinforce our strategic autonomy, if we want to be more resilient and we are in the midst of a technological revolution, which, as all industrial revolutions of the past, is having already a very sharp impact in terms of workplace, in terms of the company functioning, also in terms of the economy as a whole, our societies and our political systems. And Anna was referring to this. And I think we need to accelerate the positive side and the opportunities of this technological revolution, and at the same time avoid the risks which are economic, but they are also political in terms of the emergence of these new approaches, lack of protection of our rights and values. I think this is absolutely essential in this new digital economy. And we have also become intensely aware, I think, as a result of the pandemic, of the need to invest in our social infrastructures. They are just as important as highways and airports. We need to invest in our health systems, in our education systems, in R&D, if we want to make sure that we are stronger in the future. And that requires massive public and private investment in Europe. And I think this pragmatic approach and proactive approach of how do we tackle these challenges, which are global, and we do it together, should be the right starting point for a debate, which is surely going to be very intense, but where I think we are coming at it in a very constructive attitude, judging by the preliminary discussions we have had in different formal and informal fora.
Anna Diamantopoulou, I come to you next, because that call for massive investment makes a lot of sense, but will also cause worry in lots of places. Is the money going to be spent well? The price of money is going to go up because of inflation, et cetera, et cetera. So how do you ensure or assure good spending in the right places with good outcomes if you're splurging away on apparently necessary investment targets?
I think this is a very good question. And being a commissioner and being a minister, I know very well that it is very easy to spend a lot of money with no impact, or with not the impact you expected to have. So I think that first, there is a need of simplification of the rules at European level. It is very complicated. We all know that, and we know how difficult it makes the life of governments, of municipalities, of regions. So finally, now, things are very urgent. We need simplification. The second one, which is very important, and we have this experience in Greece, it is that the governments must have the ownership, the national ownership of the plans, of the projects. The European Commission, the European Union has concrete goals on digital transformation and green transition. They are both important, and they have been agreed at the European level. But when you go to a national level, you see that there are other problems in regions, there are other priorities. So there are conflicts, and say, no, the money must go there. No, we want the money to go otherwhere. So there is a need that the final project must have this national ownership of the government, and the government must persuade and inspire people in order to have the implication. So the third issue is that we need indicators and quantitative goals. We need both. So the government will be evaluated in the elections according to quantitative goals, not generally approaches, and the European Commission must evaluate the projects according to indicators. The final and very important issue, the fourth one, is that in many countries, there is a problem in the administrative structure. I think that it is important, after so many years of implementing European projects, to check that if the structures do not work, if the organizations at the national level have not implemented the policies in a successful way, the Commission, the European Union, has to support governments to change the models, not to continue with same tools that have not been successful. So I think these are the 4 important issues that can support the right implementation of this money.
Thank you. Anna Mendes Godinho, one N, Anna. On your opportunities of a lifetime statement, that's both right and sort of it's hard not to be skeptical that it will be taken advantage of. And I mean that in 2 ways. So for innovation, Europe is caught between the US and China. It is not a technological superpower. It is behind the game. So what does Europe as an innovation superpower look like? I struggle to understand what that is. And then I've got a question on skills, which I want to put to everyone on the panel, so I'll come back to that. If you can take the innovation question.
Well, about your skeptical mood relating the moment we live, I think that 2 years ago, no one would believe that there would be a reaction by Europe as it happened. And this means that impossibles do happen. 2 years ago, we would all of us remember what was the reaction of Europe 10 years ago with the financial crisis. And suddenly, under pressure, under very strong social pressure and health pressure, everything changed. I can give you 2 examples of what happened during the pandemic. 3. First, the way Europe acted in a different way, protecting jobs, supporting jobs, not defending cuts or restrictions, reacting in a completely different way from 10 years ago. And the results are completely different, as we all know. We can all look at the unemployment rates in the different countries of Europe to see how a different approach does have different results. Second example I would like to share with you was what happened in Porto. I don't know if you remember, during the Portuguese presidency, it was organized a social summit in Porto in the middle of the pandemic. Everyone was locked down. And during the lockdowns, all the leaders of Europe, social society, European social partners, European leaders of the European institutions, European governments, they all met in Porto, and this was in the middle of the pandemic. And they subscribed all a compromise saying, well, Europe, in the middle of the pandemic, recognizes that in the basis of the recovery, the social dimension will be what will guide us. And this was in the middle of a brutal tension. This would never happen 2 years ago. This is why I believe that this momentum is real and it can happen. It does need leaders, it does need movement, it does need legitimacy and people believing in it. We have a unique opportunity with the resources that are being mobilized. Of course, they have to be mobilized, I would say, with focus, with simplicity, cutting red button. And again, during the pandemic, red button was cut like never happened before. I can share with you the example in Portugal. We did it in 1 day. We were paying, receiving, paying, reinventing completely the system with innovation. How? We brought innovation into the public system to reinvent the answer, cutting with the traditional ways that, for example, things were done or processes were built. How do we do innovation? We do innovation in schools, guaranteeing that education systems are in fact changed to guarantee that innovation, creativeness are part of the model. This needs courage, it's true, but that's why we are here. I think people who faced the 2 last years, as we all faced, have, I would say, a different vibe and a different energy to tackle this. Innovation, you can invest in innovation, of course. You can guarantee that at the same time, and that was the other example I was going to share with you, innovation happens with more people bringing talent into the system. For more people to bring talent, you need to open the system, open this movement to everyone. During the pandemic, we had a very important sign. For the first time, a mechanism called the European Child Guarantee was approved by unanimously by all the member states. And this was a mechanism where all the member states stated that their priority is to eliminate child poverty in Europe. And this happened in the middle of the pandemic. This shouldn't be maybe the main priority, but this means that 20% of children in Europe that are poor are outside of the system, and without them we have at least 20% less of innovation and 20% less of talent and 20% less of growth. This is just a way of changing our mindset, and our mindset can be changed when we have resources, when we focus these resources into a model that is built, and looking a little bit back with what Anna just said, guaranteeing that the way we decide the investments made is a participated model, involving everyone deciding where we want to put these resources with ambition, yes, of course, but at the same time putting in the first place this inclusive growth model as a pattern, as a mindset.
Okay, unfortunately, we're going to have to bring this discussion to an end, but I want to finish with a question to each of Nadia and Anna Diamantopoulou. Just a quick answer, if you may. What should we be looking for as concrete evidence of Europe seizing this opportunity of a resilient, cohesive recovery? So one thing that you would like to see as your kind of marker of success. Nadia, can I come to you first? What's your priority?
Well, this is a very difficult question. I would say probably there is a cold indicator and then a much more qualitative indicator. In terms of the cold quantitative indicator, we will have to see growth levels in Europe, and we will have to see R&D investment in Europe, and that's what Anna was talking about just now, no? Innovation as a driver for potential growth. But I think the qualitative indicator that we should be focusing on is actually the one of inequalities. All indicators that would signal that Europe is moving to a more cohesive, more balanced growth model, those indicators, I think, should be the ones that should be complementing the traditional ones, GDP and others, as we move ahead in order to see if we have succeeded to have a more sustainable growth model from the economic and financial point of view, from the environmental point of view, and also from the social point of view.
Okay, thank you. And last word, briefly, if you would.
I would like to see an independent Europe, which means independent in terms of energy, in terms of technology, and with its own role in the geopolitical landscape. I think this is the basis of changing the internal situation.
Okay, wonderful. We unfortunately have to leave it there, so thank you very much to all of our panelists. Join me in thanking them.